Okay, make sure that you have opened your science book to page 50, and then open your vocabulary notebook to the words that we started yesterday. We're still on chapter 1, lesson 3. So underneath word number 3, yes, draw a squiggle. And then today's date, August 26th, 2020. And then on the left side of the pink line, you're going to write number 4. Because on the right side of the pink line, you're going to write your vocabulary word. Once you have done that in your notebook, put your pencil down. Your notebook needs to stay on your desk. Make sure you're open to page 50 in your science book. What, Michaela? You should be in your vocabulary. At the top should be chapter 1, lesson 3. You should have 3 words. You should be in the science section of your vocabulary notebook. Put it on your desk, please. At the top should be chapter 1, lesson 3. You should have 3 words. I think it was roots, root hair, and stem. Underneath number 3, draw a squiggly line, and then write today's date. That just tells us that this is a different day. Same notes, different day. You should have number 4 on the left side of the pink line, because on the right, you're going to put the word, but we're not at the word yet. So go ahead, once you've done that, put your pencil down and be ready to read on page 50. You can put your notebook to the side because we won't need it for a minute. Make sure that you can see your book. Go ahead and put your face shield on if you're at school so that if you get picked to read, you can pull your mask down. Victoria, come on. Sadie, please pay attention because now we have to wait for you. Okay, so on page 50, please read Aaron, loud and slow. Pull your mask below your chin, or like that. Loud and slow, but if it's like that, you still got it in front of your mouth. So make sure it's down yet. So there you go.
Why are leaves important? Like all living things, plants need energy. Animals eat food to get energy. Plants make their own food. Most plants use leaves to collect light from the sun.
When it says that plants make their own food, does that mean that they go into the kitchen, turn on the stove, and heat something up? Class? No. Because if that was true, that would mean that animals could make their own food because we can make our own food in the kitchen, on the stove, or in the microwave, or maybe we don't even need a stove or microwave. But what they mean by that, by plants making their own food, is inside a plant, there are things that work together with things from the outside to create food. So a plant doesn't necessarily eat. It has the food within its body. Are we able to do that? Are we able to make food inside of our bodies and not be hungry? Class? No. So technically we make our own food, but not the way plants do. Aaron, keep reading. Loud and slow.
Plants use the energy in the sunlight to make food from water and carbon dioxide.
Aaron, you're doing great, but slow down just a little because we're also trying to follow along.
This process of photosynthesis.
Oh, you're skipping words, I think.
This is the process of photosynthesis.
Let's all say that word together because that's a word that we're going to see a ton, and it's only going to have the pronunciation key this time. So I'm going to say it first. Actually, you know what? We're going to go a step further. We're even going to say the parts of the word. So I'm going to say the part of the word, you copy me, and then we'll say the whole word. Photo,
Synthesis.
No, I'm going to say you repeat. Photo.
Photo.
Sin.
Sin.
The.
The.
Sis.
Sis.
Now repeat after me. Photosynthesis.
Photosynthesis.
Again, loud. Photosynthesis.
Photosynthesis.
One more time. Photosynthesis.
Photosynthesis.
Remember, you're repeating after me. We're going to do it again because some people are saying it with me. This means me. This means you. Or everybody. Photosynthesis.
Photosynthesis.
Now all together. Photosynthesis. Okay. Thank you, Aaron. That's our next word. Make sure you're spelling these correctly. I cannot keep saying this. If you can't see it on the board, where can you look? Smith?
In your book.
In your book at the yellow bold word. Photosynthesis. Make sure you spell it correctly. Photosynthesis. And Aaron, photosynthesis is the process of what? The definition isn't always right after. Sometimes it's before. The process of what happening? Try it. Look before. What does it say before that sentence with photosynthesis? What is the first sentence of that section? Aaron, read it out loud.
Plants use the energy and sunlight to make food from water and carbon dioxide.
Then it says this, as in that sentence that you just read, Aaron, is the process of photosynthesis. So that means photosynthesis is the process of what? Can somebody help her out? Colin?
Most photosynthesis take.
We haven't read that sentence yet. It's not in a sentence we haven't read. Zadie?
A photosynthesis.
Well, that's the word. We can't put the word in the definition. Otherwise, if I said the process, photosynthesis is the process of photosynthesis, does that tell you at all what's happening?
No.
No. Colin, you want to try one more time?
Plants use
Loud.
the energy in sunlight to make food from water and carbon
You got it. Carbon
oxygen.
Not oxygen,
Oxide.
How would you, there's an E at the end. Where is it? There's an E at the end, so how would you say ID with an E at the end? That E at the end is silent and it makes that I long or short.
Long.
So carbon dioxide. What does long I say?
Side.
Carbon dioxide. Good. So photosynthesis is the process of plants using, not use, plants using the energy in sunlight to make food from water and carbon dioxide. I keep hearing sound from over here. I don't know who it is, but if it is you, you need to stop. So photosynthesis is the process of plants using the energy and sunlight to make food from water and carbon dioxide. So a process is a set of steps. A process is something that happens. So photosynthesis, again, is the process. So whatever happens when plants use the energy and sunlight to make food from water and carbon dioxide. Aaron, when you're done writing that definition, please continue reading. Count fast, slow to like 15 to give people time to finish writing, and then you may read. Fast, slow means like 1, 2, 3, 4. Not super slow, not super fast.
Most plants,
Louder.
most
Here, move it all the way away from your mouth. It's still in front of your mouth. Like these people over here, it's in front of your mouth for them. So it may be easier to just pull it down here. Like that. There you go.
most photosynthesis takes place in the leaves of plants.
Keep going. So wait, where does photosynthesis take place? Zari?
Take place in the leaves of the plant.
Good. Very good. Keep going, Aaron.
Photosynthesis begins when sunlight hits the leaf. The light energy goes into the plant cells from there. It enters the chloroplast. Inside the chloroplast, chlorophyll collects the light energy.
Good. Oh, I had you read too many paragraphs, but that's okay. Smith, go ahead and read that last paragraph. Loud and slow. Because you're not only reading slow for yourself, you're reading slow for everybody else too.
When the chloroplasts gather enough energy, a change takes place. Water and carbon dioxide combine to form plant sugars or food. The cells let oxygen out as a waste product.
Very good. So, human beings take in oxygen and let carbon dioxide out as a waste product. So when we're breathing in oxygen, and when we breathe out, we're breathing out carbon dioxide. We're getting rid of that waste, that carbon dioxide. Plants are the opposite. We don't see them breathing like this, but there is a way, which we will read about next Monday, that they take in carbon dioxide the way we take in oxygen, and they let out oxygen the way we let out carbon dioxide. So it's the opposite in humans or in animals and plants. Now let's look at this diagram at the bottom. This diagram at the bottom of page 50, make sure you're paying attention, feet down on the ground, under your desk, in front of your chair. This diagram on page 50 kind of shows us this process of photosynthesis. So first, remember we follow arrows when we have a diagram. Arrows show you which way these things are going. So let's start at the sun. And we see arrows going down. Because that is sunlight shining down on the plants. Make sure you're looking at the diagram on the bottom of page 50. Because you will see this again. Hint, hint. you will see this diagram again today. So pay close attention. We start with the sun. We see those yellow arrows that show the sunlight. Sunlight has energy that then those leaves on the plant take in. We see the sun shining on the leaves. Kingston, please stop. Kingston, thank you. We see the sun shining on the leaves. In that middle paragraph under photosynthesis, it says that the light energy goes into the plant cells on the leaves. Remember, plant cells have chloroplasts, so we can't see this happening because those chloroplasts are microscopic. Why are you in that box? Get out of it now. Plant leaves have microscopic cells that we can't see, and inside those microscopic cells are even smaller chloroplasts. Well, that sun energy goes inside the chloroplast, and the chlorophyll, what makes plants look green, collects that energy from the sun. Then, once those chloroplasts have enough energy, something happens. Something changes. Inside those chloroplasts, there's light energy, there is water, there is carbon dioxide. All of those three things combine to create something called plant sugars, which, just like sugar is a food for us, plant sugars is food for the plant. And so now they are fed. The sun shines on the leaves. Inside those leaves are plant cells. So the sun shines on those plant cells. The chloroplasts take in that light energy. The chlorophyll collects the sun's energy, water and carbon dioxide. Those three things come together to form plant sugars, which is food for the plant. So now the food is fed. Well, think about us. Does every single bit of food that we eat stay in our bodies forever? You can just show me. No. No. Otherwise, we would get bigger and 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 never stop. Then we wouldn't be able to move. We let off waste in ways that I'm sure you know. We go to the bathroom. Sometimes we get sick. Well, plants don't go to the bathroom or get sick, but they do release that oxygen. Their waste product is not things that we go to the bathroom. It is oxygen, what we breathe. But it's different because they don't go to the bathroom. All they do is let out the the oxygen so that we can breathe. We can see, in this diagram, we can see the light coming from the sun. Then we see the words leaves. Make sure you're looking at the diagram on the bottom of page 50. Some of you, I see your arms or your notebooks covering it up. So how can you be looking at it? The light comes from the sun. Leaves take in that sunlight. Also, we see the orange arrow where it says leaves take in carbon dioxide from the air. And then at the bottom, inside the roots, we see that roots take in water and nutrients from the soil. Those blue arrows going up mean those nutrients and the water from the soil is going into the leaves. Once the sunlight, the carbon dioxide, and the water is all in the leaves, those chloroplasts collect those three things. We can't see this because it's too small. They change those three things into plant sugars. The food is fed. And then that red arrow shows that plants give off oxygen as waste. What gas is made by a plant? What gas is made by a plant? Not what do they take in. What gas, that means it's not a liquid, it's not a solid, it's something that's in the air that we can't see. What do they make? Zadie? Oxygen, very good. They take in carbon dioxide, they create oxygen as their waste. Very good. Zari, quickly.
Also on this picture, the roots look brown.
Because usually roots are kind of a brownish color. Roots aren't typically green. Ethan, stop. That's not going to be at your desk tomorrow, which means you'll need to ask me if you need any any supplies. Very good. So does everybody understand that diagram? Any questions about the diagram? We see sunlight, carbon dioxide. The yellow arrows are sunlight. The orange arrow is carbon dioxide. The blue arrows are water and nutrients. We know those enter the leaves. The chloroplasts are inside those plant cells in the leaves. The chloroplasts take them all in. The chlorophyll collects all of them, creates plant sugars, which is food. The food is fed, and it lets off oxygen, that red arrow, as waste. We have time to do some of page 51. We may not get to all of it, but we have time to do some of it. So let's go ahead and look at page 51. And then, Zari, did you read that last paragraph?
Smith.
Or was it Smith?
Did.
Smith? Okay. Smith, keep reading on page 51. Carla, make sure you're reading your book with us.
Collecting carbon dioxide. Where do leaves get carbon dioxide gas from for photosynthesis? Carbon dioxide enters through tiny holes in the bottom of leaves. The holes are called stomata.
Let's read that word together. Let's look at the pronunciation key. Use your finger to cover all but the very first little group of letters. That is the word. I'm going to say it. You're going to repeat. Stow.
Stow.
So.
One more time. Stow.
Stow.
So.
Now use your finger to cover all but the middle group of letters. So you need 2 fingers for this because you're covering 2 separate groups of letters and you're leaving the middle ones uncovered. Victoria, are you paying attention? You should need 2 fingers because you're covering all except for the middle. The middle section, the middle group of letters says ma. Ma.
Ma.
One more time. Ma.
Ma.
Then cover all but the last group of 3 letters. That is the sound ta. Ta.
Ta.
Ta.
Ta.
Ta.
Ta.
So, stow,
Stow.
So.
ma,
Ma.
Ma.
ta.
Ta.
So now we're going to put all those sounds together. Stow. What am I doing? Stow, ma, ta.
Stow. Ma. Ta.
If we put it all together and say it as one word, we get stomata.
Stomata.
One more time. Stomata.
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 All together. Stomata.
Stomata.
Okay? So, Smith, go ahead, start with that sentence again. The holes.
The holes are called stomata. A single one is a stoma.
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 So we have stomata and we have stoma. Okay? Let's see. That's our next word. Ow. So what is number 5, Smith?
Stomata.
Stomata. S-T-O-M-A-T-A. And what is stomata, Smith?
Tiny holes at the bottom of leaves.
Tiny holes on the bottom of leaves where what enters, Smith?
Where carbon dioxide enters.
Good. Where carbon dioxide enters. Good. So now look back at that diagram on page 50. Does it make a lot more sense why the orange arrow for carbon dioxide is underneath the leaf? Cullen?
Yes.
Yes. Why is the arrow, the orange arrow for carbon dioxide, underneath the leaf on page 50?
Because that's where the little holes are where the carbon dioxide enters.
And what are those little holes called?
Stomata.
Stomata. Very good. So the stomata are on the bottom of the leaf. Those are the tiny holes where carbon dioxide enters. So that's why on page 50, that orange arrow for carbon dioxide is shown going into the leaf underneath. Because even though there's carbon dioxide all around it, all around that plant, where it enters is underneath the leaf. Okay, thank you, Smith. We have about 5 more minutes, so let's finish the next section. Zadie, you're going to read the next section, and then we're going to stop and we'll talk about transpiration next Monday. So as soon as you're finished, you can go ahead. Loud and slow.
Collecting water. The roots of a plant pick up water from soil.
So we can see that on page 50. We see the blue arrows for water are coming up from the soil to the leaves. Keep going.
Small tubes called
V-A-Y. How would you say V-A-Y? How would you say V-A-Y? It's spelled similar to this. How do you say this?
say,
So this would be,
they,
okay, then if you said ve and then NZ, NZ would sound like n or z. So ve, nz.
veins.
There you go, veins.
Small tubes called veins carry the water from the roots to the stem. Veins also move the water into each leaf.
We can see this on the diagram with the blue arrows. Keep going, Zadie.
Leaves have a thin covering to keep water in. This layer is called the epidermis.
Close. Epidermis.
Epidermis.
Because there's no U or anything making it ES. It's just epidermis.
Called the epidermis. It protects leaves the way skin protects your body.
Very good. So we have an epidermis. Our epidermis is our skin. Leaves also have an epidermis. It is just a thin covering on the leaves that keeps water in. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to keep it in. It would touch the leaf and then it just may be like, boop, and leave the leaf. Very good. Okay, so that's all we're going to do for today. Before you close your book, I'm going to pass out your science homework. Girls at home, you have the outline. We're not going to do the outline yet, okay? So the outline, because we're not finished with the lesson. We're not going to do the outline until we're finished with the lesson.
Okay.
Okay, so you should have this diagram sheet out. Always read the title. Find the page it's on in the book. Read the information right beneath the title. That will help you. Always do that. Do not ignore it. Sometimes answers from these questions might be in this little bit of information. Then the directions say, answer these questions about the diagram. That means some of the questions might be in the diagram. This diagram is really hard to read, but luckily you know where is it in your book. Page, Cullen?
50.
50. So you can go ahead and use your pencil to write page 50 to tell you, hey, you can go look at page 50 because this one's kind of hard to see. You can barely see the sun or anything. Then you're going to answer each of these questions. Read the questions carefully. Make sure you are answering the correct question. Some of you put answers down, and I'm like, what question was she answering or he answering? Because that's not the question that's being asked here. So read closely. There should not be any typos here, like there were in some of the other ones. Read the question carefully. Make sure you know what it's asking you to do. If you're not sure what it's asking you to do, read it again until you do know. Does anybody have any questions about the diagram sheets? Yes, Zadie.
And most likely, the titles up here are in your book.
Exactly. The titles up here are usually right in your book. So it's telling you, if the answer isn't on the diagram, it might be in this section. So if you can't find the answer on the diagram, reread that section, because when I give you these, we will always have already talked about that section. And then you'll find the answers. Okay, so now go ahead, close your science book.